Good morning, students, and welcome back to your English lessons this half term. It is our final half term before the summer, and we would like to spend this time reflecting on the extraordinary times that you've been living in, the very unusual circumstances that you've been living in. We'd like you to use your English lessons to start processing some of those experiences you've had, how you feel about where you've been or what you've been up to, and using that opportunity to improve your writing skills and to share with us some of the experiences that you've had. Today's lesson is an introductory lesson, and by the end of the lesson, you will have done some planning about diary writing and about the kind of diary you might want to write. You are not going to have written anything substantive at the end of today's lesson. You will be doing more writing tomorrow. So today is the planning stages. And first, let's reflect on what a diary is. A diary, I'm sure you know, is something, is a place, a book, or a log, or potentially a Google Doc, where you record your daily experiences. And this can, as I said, it can be relaxing and therapeutic, and it can help us to process what we've experienced. Even if our experiences that day were mundane and boring in our own minds, it still can be a lovely thing to do. And this is something we're going to be working on in the next couple of weeks. What are the features of diary entry? I'd just like you to have a think to yourself now. Think about the kind of books that you've read where there might be a diary entry. What kind of features were in it? You might want to pause here and make a mind map or a list of some of the features that you think might be included in a diary. But here we go. Here's my list. You want to follow a diary style. Not everybody opens with Dear Diary. As you know, if you've read Anne Frank's journal, she opens with Dear Kitty. She named her journal with a girl's name, Kitty. Some people just open with Today. Entirely up to you, but you want it to be clear that this is a diary style and it's your personal experiences. And therefore, you need to be writing in the first person, I and we. Occasionally, you'll be telling a story about your day and you will refer to he and she, but mostly this is a first-person account. And the account will include detailed descriptions using sensory description and imagery to make the reader imagine what you have been up to. Diaries, of course, don't have to be for a public readership. They can just be for you. But diaries still, as a form, do include detailed descriptions to create an image in the reader's head, whoever that reader is. They are, of course, written in the past tense because they're about what has happened to you that day or that week. And they are reflective. So we will, as we move through the lessons, we will think about including our feelings, opinions, and hopes. Maybe even our thoughts and feelings could be included using speech marks. And finally, you need to be writing in chronological order, which is why a lot of diaries have got dates at the top. So as you're writing your diary, we would like you to date them at the top. And things that you describe, you should try to describe those in chronological order using adverbials. So in the morning is an adverbial phrase, for example. At lunchtime is an adverbial phrase, and you would try to put those in a sensible order of when they would have happened in the day. So here we go. You can come back to this slide as you begin to write your diary later and tomorrow or next lesson. Here is a checklist of what we would like you to include in your diary based on what I've just said. And you need to be thinking, we're going to be using this opportunity in our English lessons to perfect our writing and to make sure our writing is accurate, but also interesting. And we need to do that using punctuation. In today's lesson, we'd like you to focus in particular on punctuation, but also using conjunctions. And later in the week or next week, we will be focusing on adding some more complex clauses in there as well, and how to describe in more detail using imagery, adjectives, verbs, adverbs, similes, metaphors, allusions, personification perhaps, in order to make our writing perfect. Over the next few lessons, we will be focusing on redrafting and going back and improving our writing, which is a really important process to go through if you want to improve your writing in English and for general life. So today's lesson, we want you to reflect on what you got up to yesterday or in a recent day. So recently in the last week, reflect on something that you got up to. Is there anything that stands out? Here's an example. Waking up before your alarm, panicking as a teacher that we haven't uploaded our lessons, having a cup of tea first, setting morning work. So here are some thoughts and feelings in our mornings. And then we've reflected on what we saw, we heard, we did, and how we felt and thought as the day went on. And we've got lots of emotional words in here, and as you can see, they're not all in full sentences because this is a plan. You could pause the video here to read through my plan here. Now your turn. Now that you've read through my plan, have a think about what you did yesterday or a day that was recent to you. Have a think about how you felt in the morning and then how you felt as the day went on, what kind of things you saw, heard, and did. And remember, my plan didn't just contain one thing in each box. I've brainstormed or mind mapped a few different things. You can pause the video there while you do that. Next, I want you to choose one of your morning feelings and to write those into a sentence. And you can pause the video while you do that. And moving on, we'd like you now to reflect on your use of punctuation and vocabulary in the sentence that you have just written. Did you use an adverbial phrase or a time connective at the start to identify where it was in your day? Yesterday, at around 7 a.m. Remember, if you're using two of those time phrases, you need to make sure that you're punctuating it properly using those dashes or commas or brackets for parenthesis. Did you use an adverb to say how you moved or behaved or felt during that day? For example, wearily or excitedly. Have you used interesting verbs? Don't just say you got out of bed or you went down the stairs. How did you do that using a lovely dynamic verb? And I mentally prepared myself for another day of lockdown learning. So reflect here on the opening of that sentence that you've just used to reflect the morning feelings that you had. And improve that sentence here. And finally, we would like you to have another go, another memorable day at the end there, and that will make you ready for tomorrow's lesson or next lesson when we will have a look at writing something a little bit more substantive. Well done and have a lovely lesson.